In this video, I'm going to show you how to transform an equation into standard form. So first, before we actually do the transformation, I want to give you some vocabulary and some information about standard form. So here it says another commonly used form for writing an equation is called standard. That goes here. Standard form, and form goes over here in your notes. And this is what standard form looks like. ax plus by equals c, and I want to talk about the parts of this function. So normal linear equations have the letter x and the letter y in them. And in this equation, a and b and c stand for numbers, and specifically non-fraction numbers. And you'll see right here I have underlined no fractions are allowed in your standard form. And then the term for a here, your coefficient a, must be a positive term. So in other words, I'm going to rewrite this formula so that you can see the signs. So a, the number in front of your x, must be a positive, but your number in front of the y, the b coefficient, could be negative. So I'm going to show you here that it could also be negative. And then the constant that's all alone on the other side of your equation, notice how this has no variable, could be a positive or a negative. So what's most important is that your a term is positive, but the others could be negative. And that's really important, that b and c could be negative. They don't have to be, but they might be. Now here's our steps in order for writing your equation from slope-intercept form to standard form. So this is how you transform it. Number one, clear any fractions that you have, and you're going to do that by multiplying every term by the least common denominator. So I'm going to give you about 6 examples on that alone. And then number two, isolate the variable terms on the left and the constant term on the right. So notice how x and y are going to be on the left side of your equation, and your constant, the number term, is going to be alone on the right side, and I'll do that in a second video. But the first video, I'm going to show you how to clear any fractions if you have them, and that's because there are no fractions allowed in standard form. So let's start by just getting rid of fractions if you have them. So here's my example for clearing fractions. Algebra skill, what you want to do to rewrite your equation without fractions. We're going to transform by using multiplying by the least common denominator. So here we go. I have one fraction in number 1, and that fraction is 1/3. So my least common denominator is going to be the denominator that I have, which is 3. And so we're going to multiply every single term, all 3 terms, by that number 3. So I'm going to have 3y equal to now 1x and then plus 12. And that's all we're going to do in this first part, is just clear our fractions. In the second example here, my least common denominator is going to be the only denominator we have, which is 5. So I'm going to multiply every term by 5. 5 times the y, 5 times my x term, and 5 times my constant term. So I'll have 5y equal to now 2x, because 5 divided by 5, that's going to cancel out. That's why we're multiplying by 5. And then minus 30. In the next example, you'll see that we have 2 fractions, and so I need to multiply by the least common denominator of 4 and 3. So if we have the numbers 4 and 3, we want to think of the lowest multiple that 4 and 3 both go into. And normally it would be those 2 times each other, and sometimes it's a number smaller than that. But 4 and 3, the least common multiple of those would be 12. So the least common denominator of a 4th fraction and a 3rd fraction will be 12. So we're going to multiply every number by 12. 12 times my y, and then 12 times 3/4. Now, 12 times 3/4, maybe you want to use your calculator, so I'll show you how to multiply this on here. We're going to take 3 and our fraction button 4, so that's our 3/4, times 12 is going to be the number 9. So 9x. And now if I take 2/3, so let me clear this out, 2/3 times 12, my next constant number is going to be 8. So now my fractions have been completely cleared. from problem number 3. Now you try it. I'm going to give you maybe a hint. Pause the video, try these 3 out, and then I'll show you the answers. For the you try section here, the least common denominator would be the number 2. So if we multiply everything by 2, we're going to get 2y is equal to 1x plus 14. The least common denominator here for number 5 is going to be the number 8. So multiply everything by 8 since that's the same denominator here. So 8 times y, 5/8 x times 8 is going to be 5x. 1/8 times 8 is just plus 1. And then for the last one here, for the you try section, the least common denominator is the number 3. So multiply every number by 3. We'll have 3 times y, 1/3 times 3, and plus 5/3 times 3. So we get 5.